This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust that you will consider this your vitamin or supplement for your heart and mind. And wherever you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review? It would be so very helpful. Today I want to talk about some productivity hints, and the majority of which today will be about email and your inbox. So many people I know have inboxes. I have a couple of friends who have over 1,000 emails in their inbox, and when I look at it, I am overwhelmed and I don't know anything about any of the items in their inbox. Let's go with what I believe is the golden rule for the email inbox. Never leave a read email in your inbox. Do something with it. We'll talk about that in a moment. Take action on it. File it, but don't leave it cluttering your email inbox. I think much what happens is that email and inbox fatigue sets in when you have so many dozens and hundreds of emails in your inbox, some read, some unread, that you're almost paralyzed into inaction by even knowing where to begin. So make a decision today that every message that once it is read, you are going to either do something with it or file it somewhere. We'll talk about that. One of the major areas when you read something is that you have to do some follow-up. And it may take you checking with a person or two. It may cause you to have to look up some information, do a little research. And so you're really not in a position right at that very moment to answer the email or even to delegate it for that matter. So I would suggest a follow-up folder. Let me also do a little parenthesis right here, parenthetically say, if you haven't read David Allen's Getting Things Done, that would be a big help to you as well. But for those things that I just can't answer right at the moment because I either have to consult with someone, it may even be if it's a personal one that I have to ask my spouse. Again, I need to find information. Make sure that one of your primary folders is one called Follow Up. Now, let me give you a word of caution. Do not let the Follow Up folder become the burial ground for unread and unresponded to emails. Matter of fact, I'm going to say something in just a moment about how often you need to look at your Follow Up folder. Only put things there that you need to talk to someone about, that you need to find some information on, and that when that is done, you will be able to adequately follow up. Thus the name, follow-up folder. Don't put things in your follow-up folder that you already know the answer for, and you know what you need to do. You're just procrastinating and putting it off. That would be called the putting it off and shirking my responsibility folder, and please don't start a folder called that. Now, it was Michael Hyatt, I believe, who said, you're building your reputation one response at a time. Now, that could go across every communication platform. That could be telephone calls, meetings, obviously emails and texts. But just think about it. People will begin to sense how quick you are or how slow you are in responding back to them, especially those who are waiting for a crucial piece of information that you possess, and you will very quickly get a reputation. And you get it, here's how you get your reputation. It's one response or one lack of a response at a time. All right, as emails come into your inbox, there are really only a few things that you can do with any email you ever receive, regardless of who it's come from. The first is you may have some folders there on your computer of different subjects. This is where I defer and refer to David Allen's Getting Things Done. I think you need less folders, not more. My observation is, from my own experience, the more folders I set up, the more difficult it becomes for me to retrieve information. Remember, you do not have a filing system. You are supposed to have a retrieval system. The only reason you find something, or you file something rather, is that there'll be some point in the future, sometimes you know when, sometimes you're not exactly sure, you are going to need to retrieve that piece of information. And if you build a complex system of multitudes of folders, you will spend the better part of an hour trying to track down a piece of information. I don't know that you need really more than 5 or 6 folders. Some think that's too extreme on the other end, but you don't need 4,000 folders either. But for different information, you will have particular folders, and it's all right, especially if you've acted upon the email, to file it away. As I mentioned, if it's something you need to get information from someone else, you'll have to put it in your follow-up folder. But put it in a folder somewhere and then get it out of your inbox. The second thing that I do with emails, if there's something there where there is a date, someone has emailed me about an upcoming meeting, I need to, rather than putting it in a folder, I need to make sure that the date and the place and the time and enough information that I'll remember it, I need to immediately put it on my calendar. The most important organizational tool I have is my calendar. So if there's something, even if it means a phone call back or something of that nature, I have ways to add those things to my calendar. I'll put it in a particular folder if there is some data and information that I need to retrieve in order to meet that meeting. But things that are important must be placed on my calendar, and I must do it with haste. So if it's that kind of an email that would involve information that needs to go into my calendar, that's what I do. Now, there are times when someone sends me an email, but my administrative assistant is really the one working with the particular subject, or someone, a chair of another committee. At that point, I will delegate it. I do have a delegate file, but I will send it on, I will forward it on to my administrative assistant or to the chairperson of a various committee and say, I received this email from, and then I name the person. Here's the information that they're looking for. Here is the time that is involved. I know that you've been working on this. If you have the information, would you be okay if you just directly responded back to them? And I will let them know that I have given this to you and have charged you with responding. Are you okay with that? And as soon as I hear back from them, I then close the loop by responding to the original email by saying, my administrative assistant is working on that project and she will take care of it and she will be responding to you. I always copy that person in as well. Now, we've talked about you can put it in a folder, you put it in a calendar, you delegate it. Now, it depends on who you're talking about. There's some people that say 3 minutes, some say 2, some say 1. I say 2 minutes. If the email can be responded to, the information given, the answer comes to me in an easy manner, then the easiest thing to do is to respond right there. I will talk about this forever. You need to have an egg timer. I actually have a timer that's electronic, that's just about focus. And I maybe will put it on for 10 minutes to go through your emails. And I do that about 3 times a day. Then, if it's something that I can respond to quickly, I just go ahead right then and I respond to it. I also think it's perfectly okay for some of your email to, when it comes in, to just delete it, especially stuff that you have no interest in that you may have had an interest in at one time. That leads me to my next one. I try to make sure that every week there are certain things I'm unsubscribing to. There are things that seem a year ago as a good idea, a good thing, a good mailing list to get on, that just becomes cumbersome, or you move on and you're not as interested. Don't let it continue to just populate your inbox. Go ahead and unsubscribe. It won't matter. I believe for most people, you should check your inbox 3 times a day. And when I do, I start with the one that came in the farthest away from the time that I'm looking at it, which would be another way of saying the oldest one. I work to and then I move forward. I never check my email early in the morning because I reserve that to begin to work on my number one most important task to get done that day. Email can become a black hole if you don't learn to deal with it. And that is, do not let it take over the entirety of your life. I've been talking about emails you receive. Let's talk for just a moment about the emails that you and I write. Never write an email unless you know the purpose or the reason that you're writing it. I receive many emails that I have to read 2 or 3 times to be able to discern what the writer was actually asking of me. Was there something they wanted? Is there a piece of information they were trying to pass on? If you don't know the purpose for you writing the email, then don't write it. There has to be a purpose and a point to every email that you write. Okay? That will help you. That will help you build your reputation that you're just not flooding people's emails. I get people who forward me all kinds of nonsense and cartoons, and they're good people and they're friends of mine. But please don't forward unsolicited nonsense to people. Again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm for less folders rather than more. I'm also for the fact that periodically make an appointment with yourself and purge those things. I think one of the more important time-saving tools for productivity that will make you much more effective is to not have your data and all these informative emails right there on your screen or in your face, but close at hand. Not in your face so that you can work on whatever it is you're working at the moment, but close at hand in a file folder, electronic one I'm thinking of mostly, close at hand that if you needed it, you could take care of it right now. Well, I've just pretty much filled up the day with this episode about your email, because email seems to be that one thing that just creeps and gets larger and seemingly can literally take over our lives. Please don't be like so many whose email inboxes I have taken a glance at when they've asked me to help them. And it takes hours to work through 1,000 or more emails. And there's always some important information in there, but there's also a lot of clutter that is next to meaningless. So, first productivity hint that I'm talking about today is, my friend, get a hold of your email inbox and also the things that you write. I would invite you to listen to this podcast a couple of times because you do need to get a hold of your email inbox. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I'm hoping that today this was a vitamin or a supplement for your heart and mind. Leader, get control and get hold of your email inbox. and work your way through it. You'll come out okay. And leader, remember, you're doing better than you think you are. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying, have a great and blessed day.